been married 30 years, got 3 kids. At my age, I'm the one that's doing all the crying and the screaming. Hi, my name is Gabe Chapa. I'm one of the instructors with Career Development Solutions. I've been an instructor with Career Development Solutions since 2010. I am a Microsoft certified trainer, also an Office Master Specialist, which means it's a fancy way of saying I teach a bunch of different classes. So I teach Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Access, Publisher, and OneNote, every version from 95 up to the current 365, which means I also do teach the 365 portal, Microsoft Teams, and other classes as well, like SharePoint, SQL, QuickBooks, Windows, Adobe Acrobat, Microsoft Project, some project management classes, our cybersecurity course, and our Lean Six Sigma courses. With Lean Six Sigma, I'm currently a black belt and have been one since 2013. So for 10 years, I have been one of the leading instructors across our country, across our network for Lean Six Sigma. So Lean Six Sigma, it's process improvement, right? That's really what it is. You know, when people talk about Lean Six Sigma, you think about it as, you know, it's a data-driven methodology where you're trying to use information to improve a process. And Lean Six Sigma is actually 2 separate things. It's Lean and it's Six Sigma. See, Six Sigma is all about variation, or rather minimizing variation. Right? The goal with this is you want to have a process that is consistent, right? It's always the same. Yeah, think about a company like let's say McDonald's. You know, I always tell my classes, it's not because they have the greatest food in the world, it's the process that they made consistent, so that no matter where you go around the country, you know, a Big Mac is a Big Mac is a Big Mac, which is different than if you had, let's say, 2 mom and pop locations right next to each other across the street. They both sell cheeseburgers, but you could have 2 totally different things because they don't follow the exact same process. Six Sigma, the idea there is to minimize variation. So when you perform a process, it's the same result every time. So Lean is all about streamlining a process, making it efficient, removing any unnecessary elements, or basically cutting the waste. That there's no extra unnecessary elements added to it that doesn't provide any value for the customer. That's what Lean does. Think about PB&J, where they kind of go good together. Lean and Six Sigma have worked hand in hand to accomplish the idea for a business of, we want to provide consistent products or services as efficiently as we can. So the person who created Six Sigma, right? His name was Bill Smith. He was a big martial arts fan. So since Bill was a big martial arts fan, rather than saying, oh, you're a beginner, you're intermediate, you're advanced, he used the belt system to designate your level of proficiency. So as a beginner, you're a yellow belt. Or intermediate, you're a green belt. You are a leader in Six Sigma, you're a black belt. You are the person that oversees all, you're the master black belt. One of the most common misconceptions I have, or I hear about, when talking to people about Lean Six Sigma is that they believe it's only for the manufacturing industry. That's a very common thing. And the reason that's the case is that's kind of where it was born. But really, it's continuous process improvement. We're trying to improve processes. So the way you do that is you're implementing a methodology. This methodology has an acronym called DMAIC. The reason we use this is we cover the 5 different phases of a project: define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Each phase has its own purpose, its own tools, its expected outputs. Effectively, any type of process that you manage, that you want to improve, right, you could apply this to. It doesn't have to be the standard manufacturing only applies to a warehouse. There are processes all around you. In business, you have not only your physical processes like that, but you also have administrative processes. You're not physically moving anything, like something from point A to point B in a warehouse. Everything there is administrative. So now you're trying to find out what's the best way to streamline that process, to make it as efficient as possible so that all the necessary parties involved can use it. So when you talk about a process, it's effectively anything you do that has a starting point, an ending point, and steps along the way that you follow in a certain order to reach a conclusion, whether it's a product or a service. And you're surrounded by processes every single day, tons of them at home, whether it's making a pot of coffee, taking the dog for a walk, picking a movie to stream on TV, doing a load of laundry. Everything you do that has a definitive starting point, ending point, and steps that you follow along the way, that's a process. And with Lean Six Sigma, what we really focus on is processes that are measurable. And that's important, that any process that you try to improve is measurable, because how do you know? How do you know if you're making the right changes to move that metric in the right direction? And no matter what kind of process that you work with, you can apply the fundamentals of Lean Six Sigma to them. Whether it's the Six Sigma aspect, whether it's the Lean aspect, and there's so many tools that are involved with that. Like for example, maybe 5S is one, or you might decide to use Poka-yoke. You decide to go through Kanban. There are different elements within the Lean Six Sigma family that when you take a class like this, you'll learn about them and you'll find that I can apply them. Talk all the time about continuous process improvement, which is exactly what you learn in a Lean Six Sigma class. Once you take a class like this, you actually start looking at everything completely different. Going through a class like this, taking this type of training, you start learning the tools, what to look for, how to take that information and convert it into something actionable where you can then do something about it and not just go, man, I sure wish this was better. Well, don't just wish it was better. Learn about what's causing the issues, and let's try to work on a solution to make it better. One question you might have to be asking yourself is Lean Six Sigma worth it? Is it worth it implementing something like this in my place of business, or heck, even in my own personal life? Yes, I believe it is. And one of the things I can do is eliminate errors. I can also cut waste. Think about the world today. Many organizations are trying to find ways of meeting customer expectations, but yet not have to spend more than necessary, right, to do so. So when you make gains through Six Sigma, right, maintain that high level of quality, removing inefficiency, getting rid of waste, and providing something that's reliable, you're going to go back over and over again, because you know that when you get there, you know what to expect, you know what you're going to get, and you're happy. And if you're happy, people are coming in and buying your products and services, they're happy, your employers are happy, right? The people that work for you are happy, because they feel that we belong to a company that's doing something right.